Dion and Bernardo clash in a high-level duel, where Dion shocks everyone by slicing clean through Bernardo's solid steel spear. Just as the fight is about to escalate, Ludwig stops them by invoking Princess Mia's authority, forcing both warriors to stand down and placing Mia at the center of attention. Completely unprepared, Mia fumbles her speech but accidentally wins over the crowd. While trying to stop the conflict, she blurts out that the battle is ludicrous, which, combined with her reputation, plants doubt among the soldiers. She then unintentionally fuels the idea of a hidden conspiracy behind the war, which others take seriously despite her improvisation. The situation shifts when Mia reveals that the rebels are actually demanding the release of Chancellor Donovan, not lower taxes. This surprises everyone and suggests a possible way to resolve the conflict, though uncertainty remains about the Chancellor's fate, just as Keithwood arrives, hinting at troubling developments ahead.
Keithwood, you are safe, and... Wait, what's with the crow? Depends on who's asking. For Remno, a herald of fortune. For us, probably a bringer of bad news. The seeds Mia sowed had spread far and wide, burying themselves into the soil of distant lands. As they grew, they lifted the heart of a certain blackbird. The bird then returned the favor, carrying the young saplings, now infused with Monica's message of hope, back into the hands of the one who could avert this tragedy, the great wisdom of the Empire. The time of their bloom drew ever closer. I'd like to report to Prince Xian first. Please excuse us. Mia waited for Keithwood and Xian to distance themselves before approaching Abel. She figured they had some time before anything else could happen.
Prince Abel, are you alright?
Yes. Thanks to your dual will denied, if the duel had continued, I might not be standing here right now. It looks like I still have a lot more training to do. As he was speaking, Mia realized something.
Is it just me, or does he look to be in even better shape than before?
The last time they met was before the summer holidays. Compared to then, he was a little taller, more muscular, and generally had a more regal air. A mesmerized sigh escaped her lips as she beheld the maturing prince. Princess Mia, what's the matter? Only then Mia realized she'd been openly ogling him, and she hastily averted her gaze.
Nothing at all.
Are you sure? You look a little flushed. Maybe you push yourself too hard coming here.
My, how considerate. But if anyone has been pushing themselves, I said it was you. I'm not falling for that. You're a terrible person and I hate you.
What? Falling for what? What did I do?
You know well what you did, Prince Abel. You ignored me back there and went off to do something terribly dangerous. I bet you didn't even spare a thought for how I would feel. And then there's Xian. I can't believe him. He actually tried to hurt you. The two of you, I swear.
I'm Prince Abel, but he's just Xian, huh?
Oh, do I smell jealousy?
Is he upset that I don't sound as close to him as I do Xian? She identified his concealed emotions with masterful precision. Mia's instincts were razor-sharp when it counted. That's right, during the most frivolous, inconsequential, and useless situations. Having glimpsed into his heart, a small grin spread across her lips.
To be making such a big fuss over what we call each other.
Oh, he's such a boy. How adorable. She regarded him with smug superiority, blissfully ignorant of the profound hypocrisy therein. This was, after all, the same person who'd gone into a tailspin when Xian had dropped the princess from her name. Fortunately for her, such inconvenient facts had long drifted past the distant horizon of her memory.
That was to hide our identities. There's no deeper meaning behind it.
We are technically undercover right now. Ah, I see. So that's why. I'm glad to hear it. The sight of his relieved smile pleased her even more. At this point, she was practically glowing with delight. having wrapped all her anger and indignation into a ball and hurled it past the same horizon that had consumed her prior memories. The horizon of her memory was never more than a stone's throw away.
What am I gonna do with you? Alright, you win. I suppose I'll drop the prince for you as well. In fact, seeing as you're still a child, it's quite normal for a mature young lady like me to call you Abel.
So, with the abundant confidence of an adult lady, she spoke to the young prince in a voice filled with maturity and composure. Maturity and composure. What do those words mean again?
I wouldn't mind if you call me Mia, and I'll call you Abel.
She stammered and sputtered, trying to say his name. In the end, she only succeeded by appending a very quiet prince to the front. Fortunately, he didn't seem to hear that part, and his eyes went wide in shock. It took her a dozen tries and stressed her out to no end, but she finally managed to say his name by itself.
Really? It would be an absolute honor for me.
Pure delight radiated from him like the innocence of a child, which, juxtaposed against the burgeoning maturity he displayed the moment before, proved mutually accentuating and captures Mia's heart. It pounded out a rapid staccato in her chest as her cheeks grew hot and her vision swam. She swayed a little, feeling like she was floating a few inches off the ground. The abundant confidence of an adult was nowhere to be seen.
So, in that case, Mia?
Yes! Hearing her name made her straighten like she'd been caught up with her hand in a cookie jar. Breathing hard, she bent her a response.
Yes, Abel?
Then, overwhelmed by embarrassment, she turned her reddened face downward. For the next little while, the two fledgling lovebirds shared in that unique, abashed air of the romance of youth. A ways off from them, the atmosphere surrounding Dion and Keithwood was a world of difference as they spoke to each other with grim expressions. Eventually, the Songlam pair concluded their discussion and returned to the group. Sion's face was a tad pale.
Prince Abel? Mia? I need to tell you something.
What's the matter, Sion? You look like you've seen a ghost.
She was about to follow up with a quip to the effect of, though the ghost would probably look worse after seeing you, but thought better of it when she noticed his face was ashen, the skin so devoid of color he barely looked alive.
What's wrong?
He didn't answer her. Instead, he stepped in front of Abel, then he dropped to his knees, pressed his hands on the ground, and prostrated himself before the other prince. Startled by the abruptness of the gesture, Mia gasped and backed off a few steps before quickly glancing at the sky to check if any farm animals had taken flight. She wasn't practicing a comedy routine. It really was that shocking. Sion's Sunland had just done a full-on dogesa. Pigs flying would be less strange to witness. Faced with the extraordinary side of a humble Sion, Mia was overcome with triumph. Or rather, she would have been if she wasn't completely creeped out. She had literal goosebumps.
As satisfying as it is to watch him go down on his knees, this has to be some sort of bad omen. I mean, him? On his knees? No way! It's a sign of something terrible to come.
An objective bystander would have pointed out that was a very rude thing to think. But no one had access to her thoughts, so her indelicate commentary went unnoticed. While she watched the scene unfold in stunned silence, Abel spoke up.
Son of a sword seller, Prince Sion. What's the meaning of this? Please get up. Whatever you have to say, you don't have to do it like this. I'm sorry, Prince Abel. I owe you an apology. What do you mean?
Our kingdom operates an intelligence unit known as the Wing Crows. We have discovered that one of its squads has gone rogue. The members of that squad are the true culprits behind this dilemma we're faced with. As Keithwood divulged the truth of their situation, Mia's jaw hit the ground. It was a decidedly unprincess-like expression. But at this moment in time, looking like a clown practicing in front of a mirror was the least of her concerns.
What in the moons?
She tried to make sense of what she just heard, but her thoughts went round and round in futile circles.
But I suppose this makes sense. The revolts in Tearmoon and Remno both worked out in Songland's favor, so it's not much of a stretch to imagine that Songland could have been behind them.
She closed her eyes. The next thing she knew, she was starting up at the guillotine again as the bleeding sun dyed everything crimson. She remembered the din of the crowd, the scent of wood, and the chilling terror of her impending death. Except now, the roles were all wrong. The heroes were villains. The convict was the judge. The chain of events that had led to this horrific moment was all Songland's doing. Songland had paved the road to the guillotine and then sentenced her to death for walking it. She shook over her head and the moment passed. When she opened her eyes again, there was no bleeding sun and no guillotine. There was only Xian, his head pressed firmly to the ground. She regarded him for the long moment and then she understood.
Ah, this is mine too, isn't it? His apology. In a way, it's also meant for me.
Maybe it was karma, or perhaps a whim of fate. Whatever it was, it offered closure. Justice was served. Vengeance concluded. By all measures, it should have been a moment of triumph, and yet,
this is not a sight that feels good to look upon.
Something bitter and stifling roiled in her heart. Not an ache, but close. And for some reason, she knew that even if she were to take the blade of judgment and use it to slide through Xian's neck, her shapeless affliction was unlikely to subside. The realization didn't surprise her either. In fact, it seemed all too obvious. They'd gone to school together. They traveled together. To then derive pleasure from watching the condemnation of someone with whom so much had been shared was unthinkable for all but the most wicked-hearted.
Xian is stubborn, so he's probably tied down by all sorts of things, but there's no need for me to follow his philosophy.
If she didn't like something, then she didn't like it, and that was that. Her philosophy, Mia first, applied as much to interest as it did to emotions.
But I wonder what Abel intends to do.
The one who concerned her now was Abel. He had the right to pass judgment on Xian, to seek reparation for that which had been done. It wouldn't be the same approach and attitude that Xian himself had always employed. Those who held power bore responsibility. It was their duty to bring criminals to justice. In this case, technically, the one who sabotaged the kingdom of Remno wasn't Xian himself. Responsibility would fall first to Songland and therefore its king. Xian would never settle for such an arrangement. It went against everything he'd been taught and all the values by which he bound himself. In his eyes, he was not free of guilt. Mia swallowed. Her lips felt dry. She watched with bated breath as Abel, still kneeling, moved a little closer to Xian. Please rise, Prince Xian. Such conduct does not become you. But you can keep staring at the ground all you want if it makes you feel better. But if you ask me, when it comes to taking responsibility for your actions, I believe royalty should do so in a manner befitting royalty. Our duty is to our people, and through our rule to deliver them peace and pleasure. I thought the only way to terminate this conflict was through the sword. However, someone has shown me that I was wrong, that there is another way to put an end to this ludicrous battle. The way has already been lived for us. All that is left for us is to walk it. Am I wrong? I see. It is as you said. I can lower my head. I can beg forgiveness. I can even wish to be condemned. But in the end, it's a little more than the theatrics of a guilty conscience seeking an excuse to be absolved. Is that right? We were saved from ourselves. You and I both. Now we're being given guidance to do what is right with these mantles we bear. It is my belief that we should approach it with gratitude and commitment. Commitment? To walk this precious path the great wisdom of the Empire has lived for us? The two of them look as one toward Mia, who approached them with a satisfied smile. Mia watched the exchange between Abel and Cian from a distance. Judging from how they were interacting, it seemed like Abel had forgiven Cian.
Ah, what a relief. Good for you, Abel.
She felt a small rush of delight at the thought that he'd come to the same conclusion as her.
Also, after all this, Cian won't be going around with his nose in the air for a good while. Wonderful. I'm so glad to see you've been forgiven.
Yes, all thanks to you, Mia. To be fair, my father wasn't entirely in the right either. I can shift all the blame to Sanglan. Abel's words struck a chord in Mia, who knew with intimate familiarity that responsibility did not lie solely with the conspiracy. Tearmoon's downfall was brought about as much by malice as its own internal corruption. Its reckoning was inevitable. That was why she put aside all her grievances. All except one.
It would appear, Cian, that you have finally gotten a taste of failure.
This might come as a surprise to someone like you, but we are all human, and humans will fail. No one lives perfectly. That is why we forgive, so that we may all have chances to make amends.
Sure thing, buddy. Especially me, right? Like to be sure I got a second chance?
This was particularly important for her because in the previous timeline, she'd been afforded no such chance whatsoever. Now that the situation had calmed and she was thinking a little more clearly, a thought popped into her head.
Actually, now that I think about it, if what happened in Remno is the same as what happened in Tearmoon, then that whole holier-than-thou attitude Cian had going at the time wasn't really just justified, was it? In that light, you know what? That actually makes me a little angry.
As she obliquely regarded his apologetic expression, evil Mia began whispering in her ear.
Now's the perfect time to teach him a lesson. Do it. It'll be fine. No pain, no gain, right? It's for its own good.
She waited for the counter-argument in her other ear, but no one came. Good Mia was, well, she was slack enough on the job. This is why Mia gets herself into trouble sometimes.
Cian, I believe you need a permanent reminder of what transpired today, so that you will never forget your failure.
What do you mean? Mia paused for a dramatic effect before continuing in a solemn voice.
Crime and punishment go hand in hand. The former concludes only when the latter is received. Prince Abel might have forgiven you, but is that truly enough to satisfy your own conscience?
Punishment? Wait, Princess Mia, you can't. It's fine. You are right, Princess Mia. I shall gladly accept my punishment. What will it be?
Your courage is commendable. Stand over there, then.
Cian did as he was told and closed his eyes. Mia proceeded to circle him slowly, walking with the pompous air of an imperial inspector. Finally, she positioned herself behind him and lowered herself into a stance. Just like how Abel had dodgily practiced that one single swing, Mia had been hunting something of her own. Ever since the day she was told by Anne that it didn't hurt, she'd been determined to improve the amount of hurt she could deliver with her signature move, the kick.
Oh, you better get ready, because I'm going to make this hurt so much.
She was so determined to inflict pain on Sion that she was willing to endure it on her own leg. And for a pain phobe like Mia, that was saying something. She planted her feet and readied herself. Then she let it rip, kicking as high as she could with the perfect arc of a pendulum. Her leg swung towards Sion's head, except it fell short of that, and his shoulders, and his waist, and just barely reached above his thighs. In other words, she landed a direct hit on his butt, with a satisfying sound on impact to boot.
Commit this pain to memory, Sion, and may it forever remind you of what transpired today.
The pain Sion had been bracing for never came. Instead, he felt a slight bump on his rear. He turned and stared at Mia, baffled by the pathetically weak kick he'd just received. What was... Wait, that had to be on purpose, right? Crime and punishment went hand in hand. The former concluded only when the latter was received. The great wisdom of the Empire had posed him a question. Is Abel's forgiveness enough for you to move on? If crime concluded with punishment, then where was his? That was why Mia had not spared him. To all onlookers, his punishment had now been carried out. There would be no more forthcoming. But it hadn't been. He knew, and he'd forever bear the weight of the knowledge that his dues were unpaid. Therefore, his crime, and the guilt therewith, would linger, never to fade. Never again would he act in the name of justice without remembering his failure on this day. The pain of guilt would give him pause, forcing him to question himself. Over and over, he would need to ask if he was truly doing the right thing. And then, after finally overcoming the uncertainty and self-doubt, he would remember to forgive, just as he had once been forgiven. Faced with someone who had done wrong, the events of this day would serve as an eternal reminder of the need to show mercy and allow for the chance to make amends. Commit this pain to memory, so that it might forever remind you of what transpired today, huh? Judge fairly, and act justly. This had been said to him countless times when he was young. Now, for the first time in his life, he understood. He finally felt on a visceral level the true weight of the words and the difficulty of living up to them. Many years later, Sion Sunland, hailed as the Libra King for his wise prudence and deep mercy, would speak nostalgically to his loyal vassal Keithwood about the events that had transpired on one fateful day. That day was my crossroads, the turning point of my life. Had I not experienced that agony, I would surely have incurred to hatred of my people and lost my head to their wrath. Had I experienced it later, I would have been too set in my ways to admit my wrongs.
This is it for this video. We will continue with the story of the Guillotine Princess on the next episode. This is Marco the Vera Mexican with Jobless Weeks. Matanem!